Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Uh, what I want to do today is the kind of thing I think that is the most fun thing to do in watch collection, and that's to discover something new that was brought back from a long time ago. And today we're going to do it. Now, the whole thing began when I was going through the Grand Prix d'Horloge de Genève, and I'm one of the members of the Academy, and so I was going through and ranking the different watches, and I came across this one that was called the Zenith GFJ Calibre 135. And I sort of wondered, what about this? So I started reading about it, and in the write up that they had, and the more I read about it, the more interesting it looked. And it's called the Calibre 135-0 is I suppose not exactly the official, but sort of the designation for this kind of the Calibre 135. It's a caliber that goes back to the 1950s, and they had two. One was called Calibre 135, and the other one was called 135-0. The O is the one that they took to the observatory competitions. It's 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour, which this is my favorite because, and they point this out, your inertia gives you very strong inertia, so you're having a more even timing. Surprised me a lot because Defy Labs at Zenith seems to be trying to reach the capacity of quartz by upping the frequency. They're up to about 5 hertz now, and the quartz is something like 30,000 hertz. So that's not going to happen with a mechanical watch. So what I really like to see is sort of revisiting some of these lower frequencies for really fine horology, and I think this is it. The problem is that it's 48,900 Swiss francs. It's a huge amount. So looking back, the caliber, what was called 135-0 for the observatory competitions they used to have, they had in Neuchâtel Observatory from about 1950 to 1954, they had these competitions for the best chronometer. The problem was that shortly after one of these awards, the Japanese came up with their quartz watches and they just decided, heck with that. And so that was the end of the Neuchâtel Observatory competitions that they had. Okay, so you might think, okay, so what? What is this? A $50,000 watch? But what I looked at, I thought, well, let's see if there are any of those, the Calibre 135 for Zenith left. So the new one on the top, it's called the 135 GFJ for the founder of Zenith. It's hand wound, analog display, stop second was added. Now, this wasn't in the original one. The balance staff is protected by a spring-mounted jewel setting. This is also something new, and it's got a reserve of 72 hours, but it still has the frequency of 18,000 semi-oscillations per hour. Now, going back to what was called the 135-0, or for observatory competition, it was pretty much the same, except it had a reserve of 40 hours instead of 72 on the newer one. Now, so naturally what I thought, well, let me see if I can go find some. Now, this is it didn't take me very long to find a watch with a Zenith 135 movement. And the one I found, I mean, in fact, I found several, not just one, but this is the one I sort of liked the best. It was called Zenith 135 Chronometry avec extrait the archives. In other words, with archive excerpts to it. This one has the original box, I think. It doesn't have the original papers, but it has material from the archives. It's priced at 4,500 euro. It's a lot better than 50,000 or whatever it was around that price. And in looking at it, the movement here, this one only has, I think it was 30 hours. So that probably means this was not one of the 135Os that they used in the observatory trials, but still, it's a significantly very nice movement. And there are other ones. And like I said, this was after a very quick search. I found it on Chrono24. It was, like I said, 4,500 euro, and it said suggest a price. And of course, my position on that is suggest a price. This one's it's got manual winding, brigade balance spring, large high inertia balance wheel. That's the thing I like a lot. Micrometric racket covering balance bridge, Swiss lever escapement. They also have, in the Swiss lever escapement on this one, now the new ones, they have what they call the double arrow regulator arms to do some fine tuning on it. This one looks like a sort of a version of a swan neck, but it's not a swan neck. It has I think it has a spring pushing one way and then a screw pushing the other. That's something like a swan neck, but not exactly the same. Anyway, though, this was not the least expensive one. There was another one I saw for around 3,000, something like that. But it's such an interesting movement and a history behind it. The other possibility that I've been thinking about is why not just get the movement, because they do have some of those for sale. They're not cheap. They're around $1,000 or so, and or some more than that. And get a case and just dial and the rest of it and put it together yourself. That's sort of something that those of us who belong to pretentious watchmakers might want to try. Anyway, if you're interested, this might be something you might want to take a look at. And I'd really like to hear your opinion, and I'd very much like to hear your opinion if you have one of these. And opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Standard for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.